Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. You found your home for Daily Dose Radio. This is Bible study that's free of genetic modification. This is Heirloom Bible Study. We're looking today at verses 28 through 31. And as I said at the beginning of the week, verse 31 is one of those classical breaks in the second half of Psalm 104. 24, 31, and 35 make up these nice divisional breaks in here. And so we're going to look particularly today at verse 31. We're going to read today verses 28 through 31. So let's begin then with verse 28. That thou givest them, they gather. Thou hidest thy face, they are troubled. Thou takest away their breath, they die, and return to their dust. Thou sendest forth thy Spirit, they are created, and thou renewest the face of the earth. The glory of the Lord shall endure forever. The Lord shall rejoice in his works. All right, so that's verses 28 through 31. Notice again, the emphasis has been, really this entire psalm has been on God's provision. And so we emphasize that now, or the psalmist does, in verse 28. Notice that each of these verses begins with you. You givest them. You open your hand. You hide your face. You take away their breath. You send forth thy Spirit. You renew the face of the earth. See, all of this is about the Lord. This entire psalm is nothing but a praise of the creation of God and his work in sustaining it, and that's what we have here in 28. Thou gavest them, they gather. Thou openest thine hand, they are filled with good. Who's the they? Are we still just talking about the creatures? Oh no, this is everybody. This includes men as well. He gives men their labor, he gives men their bread, oil, wine, grain, everything. He gives man all of it. And he gives the same to all the creatures that he's made. He opens his hand, and they're filled with good. You give them, they gather. So it's the source. God is our source. He's the source for every part of creation. Now, verse 29, you hide your face, they're troubled. You take away their breath, they die, and return to the dust. So God gives, and God takes away. You remember Job, what he said in the first chapter of his book? The Lord giveth, the Lord hath taken away, blessed be the name of the Lord. So he hides his face, he takes away their breath, they die, and they return to their dust. Who's he talking about? Well, he's talking about all creation, but he's also specifically talking about man. When the word dust is used there, their dust, that takes us right back to the creative moment when God gathered the dust of the earth, formed man, and breathed into him the breath of life. So here again, we have Genesis chapter 1 and chapter 2 in focus. And especially now, verse 30. Thou sendest forth thy Spirit, they are created, thou renewest the face of the earth. If you look at Genesis chapter 1, verses 24 and 25, there we have the recitation of God's creation again, and this is the creation of men, verses 24 and 25. So he made man in his own image, and so he's creating them. He sends forth his Spirit. He breathes into them the breath of life, and they become a living soul. And then verse 31, and I told you I was going to get to this, and I've almost missed my time. The glory of the Lord shall endure forever. Everything else may pass away, but God never does. His days never end. His life never fades. He is the eternal God, the creator of heaven and earth. I hope you'll join me tomorrow as we conclude Psalm 104 on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.